Hey, what's up, everyone? Um, I had 10 rolls of pennies from they were machine wrapped from the bank. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I tend to do a lot of coin roll hunting and particularly pennies. And there's a few reasons why, but I every once in a while I kind of like to take stock of what percentage of the pennies I take are copper. Um, and it always surprises me how many I find, considering that pennies stopped containing copper midway through 1982. So what I do to make my life easy is I save everything from 1981 previous. Now, as you'll imagine, nearly everything I get are memorial pennies, which came in 1959 and were made until 2008, at least the ones with the memorial backs. Then the Lincoln pennies switched to the formative years in 2009 and then the Shields from 2010, but enough of that. So I was kind of curious about how many I would get out of 10 rolls of pennies. So 10 rolls of pennies, 50 per roll, 500 pennies. I ended up with, surprisingly, 120 coppers. So that's this pile right here. Well, it's almost that pile. I actually received these. Plus, I pull out the 59, so I received two 59s, a D and a Philadelphia. I received 3 copper Canadian pennies, which I also pull aside. And surprisingly, out of 10 rolls, I was kind of surprised by this. 7 wheat pennies. Not something you see too often. I can go 10 rolls and not get one, yet I got 7 this time. Very common 40s and 50s dates, but I'm always happy to get them. But the main crux of this video is just to kind of show you how much of an opportunity there still is to pull copper out at a discount. This 24% amount, I would say it's a little higher than what I typically get. I typically wouldn't guess I get 20%. I would typically guess maybe the percentage would be like in the high teens. So these rolls were a little better, as evidenced by some copper Canadians and the wheat pennies and whatnot. But, you figure these pennies right now in today's market, and today is October 22nd, 2021, they're worth about 3.1 cents per penny scrap value. So I paid a penny for them, and basically I have 3.1 cents in value. If you have a chance, check out the LBMA and some of the problems that they're having being able to keep copper in stock, because the supply is way down across the world, but the demand is up. And that is one of the things that's been driving copper up the last few months, and especially recently. It's really been going up quite a bit these last couple of weeks, and it seems pretty strong. Similar with nickel also, but especially with copper. Now, I know a lot of you could probably find things that were more enjoyable than getting a box of pennies and rummaging through it and looking for some of this stuff through this stuff. I totally get that, but I know a lot of us encounter spare change throughout our days, and I think it's good just to look at that stuff and just throw it aside. I mean, I also do that too when I'm not actively looking for these. So these 100, actually there's 108 here, and then there's the other 12 I pulled out. I'll throw these in a bucket. I have a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket. Throw them in. When I fill that one up, which hopefully will be happening soon, then I'll get another one and I'll fill that one up. Probably stop around the time I die. Yeah, I'll just keep filling it. Now, some people say it's really a stupid thing because, well, you can't melt copper pennies because it's illegal. And they're 100% right. It is illegal to melt United States pennies. Totally right. But we have to figure that these pennies do have intrinsic value, as I stated, 3.1 cents scrap value. And the same people who would say, well, you can't melt a penny, are the ones who would say, well, the old silver dimes and quarters and whatnot, those have silver in them. Okay, well, would you melt those? And, some people would say, oh, why would you melt those? Yeah, why would you? I mean, think about it. You already know the fineness is 0.90. You know exactly how much metal is in the coin. Depending, of course, where would bring that down a little bit. So, and then you know it's printed by the U.S. government, and worst case, it still has its legal tender. Once you melt that down, you really can't prove the fineness. You can't prove the weight without actually weighing it. And really, you can't even tell if it's real unless it's tested. I mean, if you just kind of melt it into, and put it in a crucible and melt it into a blob. So really, it would really behoove you if someone gave you a bag of United States silver half dollars or or dimes or quarters pre-65. It would really behoove you to keep them in shape as U.S. coinage, so that you could prove the fineness, the weight, and the authenticity of the metal. Same thing with the pennies. Now, I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to compare a base metal to a precious metal, but you have to admit the base metal does have some value. And while I don't expect copper to go up to ridiculous, amounts of money, with the high rates of inflation and the problems with supply chains and whatnot, I'm just going to keep throwing them aside. I don't think I'll ever see a day when this old ratty, I think that's a 1966 penny, I believe. I don't think I'm ever going to see this be worth $1. But the scrap value, 3.1 cents, maybe a couple of years down the line, might be 6 cents or 7 cents or 8 cents. It's possible. All you have to do is see copper prices double to maybe $9.25, $9.50 a pound. It's possible. Like I said, maybe it would happen in a couple of years. Maybe it'll happen in 20 years. Maybe it'll never happen. But it's kind of fun because I pick out these copper pennies, and like I said, I usually pick out the 59s, the wheats, the Canadians, and I also pick out 2009 pennies, which are not copper, but those are the formative years of Lincoln's birth, and I think they're really a cool design because it has pictures of him around his birth, his childhood, his young professional life, and his time in the presidency, and the mintages for those really weren't that high. I believe both Philadelphia and Denver might have only done about 100 million or so per design, which sounds like a lot, and in absolute numbers it certainly is a lot. But when you look at some of these, I mean, they made 1 or 2 or 3 billion of each one. So some of those pennies might be 20 to 30 times more, for lack of a better word, rare than some of these. And I noticed that there is a little bit of hoarding going on, because found a lot of pennies from 2007 and 8 and 10, 11 and 12. I didn't find any of those. I mean, come on, you look at it this way. I found more 1959s than I did 2009s. I found more wheat pennies from 1940 to 1958 and those actually people pulling those out when they see them than I did 2009. So I think that's one of those ones you might want to pull aside too. Again, I don't think you'll be able to finance your retirement home, but it might be cool. Throw them aside. When you get 50, put them in a roll. One of those kind of cool things to have, Okay, so I just wanted to bring this up to you. And now I am kind of curious, because my station, I really would like a favor from you. My station started as predominantly a gun-oriented station, and then I kind of really got interested in knives, and I've been interested in prepping, throughout, and of course coins. I'd really like to know if you're interested in the coin videos. If you do find them interesting, I would appreciate if you hit a thumbs up, just so I can kind of know if you like this kind of stuff, because I really enjoy making the coin videos and I'd like to do more. And I'd just like to know if you find this as something that you'd like to see a little more of. If you think it sucks and you just don't want to hear my voice anymore, please hit the thumbs down. I like to know this kind of stuff. Talk to you later.